understanding strangers a personal perspective. Well, as Jude says, I stand in front of you as an ex-British officer, a professional soldier, with a fair amount of experience in looking for peaceful solutions to some intractable problems in difficult, complex, and volatile environments. And I'm not just talking about Whitehall. But if there's anything that my life as a soldier has taught me, it is that what we do alone is not as important as what we do together. And that means reaching out and building bridges with the widest variety, if I may use business jargon, of other stakeholders, other actors in what might well be a very complex problem space. Many of whom, the military is the last organization they want to have anything to do with, often for very honorable reasons, because their neutrality may be the one thing that is protecting them. And so that means adjusting, understanding, and building bridges. And it's not only potential adversaries that it's difficult to build bridges with, it can be allies as well. I took over command of a brigade in Kosovo over 16 years ago in February 2000. And that brigade included a number of battalions from Finland, from Sweden, from Norway, from Canada, and soldiers from the Czech Republic as well. And I remember in a rather typical military fashion deciding that we needed to establish very clearly the intent, what I was looking to achieve, what were my priorities. So we called together a command group and we briefed them. In retrospect, it was rather an attritional style, PowerPoint heavy briefing. And I could see, I was watching the body language of my new Nordic commanders, and I could see from their eyes that I was losing them. We had dinner together after the command group. And after dinner I said, well, how should we run the next command group? And the Finnish battalion commander leant forward in that very direct way that Finns have, looked me in the eye and said challengingly, come to Finnish battalion next time. We'll have the command group in the sauna. There will be no paper. There will be no rank. There will be no PowerPoint. And there will be no clothes. So I said, Arto, we're coming to Finland. And we did. I discovered subsequently that the commanding officer of a very distinguished cavalry regiment, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, had a tattoo which would otherwise have not been in the public eye. But actually, it was brilliant, because we chatted, we resolved a number of issues, we made friendships, and we began to build trust. And I think sometimes that if I hadn't stepped forward and taken the challenge, that much of that suspicion from friends would have continued. Well, I wouldn't recommend that way of building bridges necessarily in some Asian or Middle Eastern or African cultures. But the message is the same, a deep and comprehensive understanding of the other, social, cultural, historical, religious. It's not always that easy. And I think, for example, of efforts made with senior Russian military before 2014. And I have to say that I failed. We talked past each other. I didn't understand. We didn't reduce suspicion. And the results, I think, continue to this day. And indeed, the concern remains. At least we had dialogue. Now there is no dialogue. But the key thing, I think, is to deliver. And if you can, to under-promise and over-deliver. And I think of the principal cleric of the Shirreff Mosque in Basra, a good man, a holy man of God. And he delivered, I delivered, but he delivered to me a very fine Christmas tree as a present just before Christmas 2006. So understanding and building trust. And a final word, the power of culture, of music. Think of the cellist of Sarajevo, Smedran Mihailovic, playing that cello in the ruins of the National Library in that dreadful siege of Sarajevo in the 1990s. Think of Karim Wasfi, leader of the Iraqi National Symphony Orchestra, likewise playing his cello amid the devastation of a car bomb recently in Baghdad. Music, culture, beauty, reaching out to aggression, ignorance, antagonism. But fundamentally, understanding and trust must be built. So those are my two things. But it's easier said than done. Thank you.